Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Jackson. This is part 1, the introduction of your weekly read aloud. Today you will read Scaredy Squirrel by Melanie Watt. Meet the author and illustrator. Melanie Watt illustrated her first children's book as part of an assignment when she was in college. After submitting the assignment to a publisher, it was made into a book. She was on her way to becoming an award-winning author and illustrator. Scaredy Squirrel is her most well-known book. If you like Scaredy Squirrel, you might also like to read the other Scaredy Squirrel books Melanie Watt has written. 2 of those books are Scaredy Squirrel at the Beach and Scaredy Squirrel at Night. The genre of Scaredy Squirrel is fantasy. Fantasies are imaginative stories with characters and events that are not real. Some fantasies include elements of adventure or mystery. Authors of fantasy tell the story through the plot, including a conflict and its resolution. Some fantasies include illustrations that may give details about the plot, settings, and characters. Fantasies may include animals that act like people. Some fantasies include a theme. Here's a little recap of fantasy. It's a made-up story. It can't happen in real life. There might be talking animals. There might be magic. If you've read any of the following, such as Harry Potter, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, you have come across fantasy and fiction. Please take a few minutes to think about the title and genre of this text, which is fantasy. Why do you think the title is Scaredy Squirrel? What might make Squirrel feel scared? You may pause the video and answer out loud. Boys and girls, please get your paper and pencil ready for your stop, think, and jot questions. Your thinking jobs for today are to make inferences and to infer the theme. Make inferences. Authors may not tell everything in a text. Sometimes you have to make inferences to fill in the holes. Use clues from the text plus what you know to make inferences. Text evidence and background knowledge equals understanding. Theme. The theme is the main message, lesson, or moral of the text. The theme can be stated in the text. Fables and myths might tell the theme at the end. Here are some common examples of themes in stories. Be kind to others, friends are important, don't give up. The theme can be implied. Use text clues to figure it out. Here are some questions that you can ask yourself in order to help you find the theme in a story. What happens to the characters? How do the characters react? What do the characters learn? How do the characters grow or change? What is the author trying to teach me? To help us infer the theme, we will use the stop and notice and note strategy. The aha moment. When you are reading and suddenly a character realizes, understands, or finally figures something out, stop and ask yourself, how might this change things? If the character figured out a problem, you probably just figured out the conflict. If the character understood a life lesson, you probably just learned a theme. Clues in the text are words such as suddenly, then I knew, it came to me, I realized. These are just some clues you may find in your reading to help you recognize aha moments. All right, let's begin by previewing the text. Scaredy Squirrel by Melanie Watt. One day, Scaredy Squirrel's worst nightmare comes true. He finds himself out of his tree, where germs, poison ivy, and sharks lurk. But as Scaredy Squirrel leaps into the unknown, he discovers something really uplifting. Scaredy Squirrel never leaves his nut tree. He'd rather stay in his safe and familiar tree than risk venturing out into the unknown. The unknown can be a scary place for a squirrel. Scaredy Squirrel, the unknown. Venturing. If you are venturing somewhere, you are going somewhere that is unfamiliar and may be unsafe. Venturing. Making inferences. We saw this anchor chart just a few minutes ago. Authors may not tell everything in a text. Sometimes you have to make inferences to fill in the holes. We use text evidence and our background knowledge in order to make inferences. I know that his name is Scaredy. The text says that Scaredy Squirrel never leaves his nut tree. So I can make an inference that Scaredy Squirrel feels safe in his tree. I'll read on to find more details to see if these inferences are correct. Now it's your turn, students. Number 1, write another inference about how Scaredy Squirrel might feel about places beyond his tree. You can copy and use the sentence stem below to help you answer this question. The sentence stem says, I know that. The text says that, so I can make an inference that Scaredy Squirrel might feel about places beyond his tree. You may stop the video now to answer this question, or you may hit the rewind button if you need to listen to the first page again. A few things Scaredy Squirrel is afraid of: tarantulas, green Martians, germs, poison ivy, killer bees, sharks. So he's perfectly happy to stay right where he is. Advantages of never leaving the nut tree: great view, plenty of nuts, safe place, no tarantulas, poison ivy, Martians, bees, germs, sharks. Disadvantages of never leaving the nut tree: same old view, same old nuts, same old place. In Scaredy Squirrel's nut tree, every day is the same. Everything is predictable. All is under control. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Predictable. If something is predictable, it is just as you expect, with no surprises. Predictable. I've got to think aloud, boys and girls. What inference can I make from this page about how exciting Scaredy Squirrel's life is? The author doesn't clearly say what kind of life Scaredy has in his tree, except that it's safe. I know from experience that doing the same thing all the time can get boring. I can make an inference that Scaredy's life might not be very interesting, at least at this point. Scaredy Squirrel's daily routine. 6:45 a.m. Wake up. 7 a.m. Eat a nut. 7:15 a.m. Look at view. 12 noon, eat a nut. 12:30 p.m., look at view. 5 p.m., eat a nut. 5:31 p.m., look at view. 8 p.m., go to sleep. But let's say, just for example, that something unexpected did happen. You can rest assured that this squirrel is prepared. A few items in Scaredy Squirrel's emergency kit: a parachute, a hard hat, a net, bug spray, antibacterial soap, bandage, mask and rubber gloves, calamine lotion, sardines. What to do in case of an emergency according to Scaredy Squirrel. Dramatization. Step 1, panic. Step 2, run. Step 3, get kit. Step 4, put on kit. Step 5, consult exit plan. Step 6, exit tree if there is absolutely, definitely, truly no other option. Emergency. An emergency is an unexpected situation that requires help or quick action to make it better. Consult. If you consult something, you look at it to find information. Here's question number 2 for you. Read the list of steps that Scaredy Squirrel takes in an emergency on page 86. What is the first step? Is it a good idea to panic in an emergency? What inference can you make about Scaredy Squirrel's character from the detail? Sentence them. The text says, I know that, so I can infer that Scaredy Squirrel is very... Boys and girls, once again, you can pause the video now. You can rewind to see page 86, and you can also use this sentence stem to help you answer this question. Exit plan, top secret. I am here. Exit 1, note to self. Watch out for green Martians and killer bees in the sky. Exit 2, note to self. Do not land in river. If unavoidable, use sardines to distract sharks. Exit 3, note to self. Look out for poison, ivy, and for tarantulas roaming the ground. Exit 4, note to self. Keep in mind that germs are everywhere. Remember, if all else fails, playing dead is always a good option. Distract. If you distract someone, you focus their attention away from something. With his emergency kit in hand, Scaredy Squirrel watches. Day after day, he watches. Until one day... Thursday, 9:37 a.m. A killer bee appears! Scaredy Squirrel jumps in panic, knocking his emergency kit out of the tree. This was not part of the plan. Scaredy Squirrel jumps to catch his kit. He quickly regrets this idea. The parachute is in the kit. But something incredible happens. He starts to glide. Scaredy Squirrel is no ordinary squirrel. He's a flying squirrel. Boys and girls, it looks like we have to stop for our stop and notice and note time. I have found an aha moment. Authors often include moments when characters suddenly realize something important. When you come across such a moment, you can ask yourself how the discovery might change how a character acts or feels. We can use this strategy when reading page 93. The text says that Scaredy Squirrel suddenly realizes something he never knew about himself. He realizes that he is a flying squirrel, and so he will be safe, and he can fly. Scaredy Squirrel forgets all about the killer bee, not to mention the tarantulas, poison ivy, green Martians, germs, and sharks. He feels overjoyed, adventurous, carefree, alive, until he lands in a bush and plays dead. 30 minutes later, 1 hour later, 2 hours later. Let's look at what Scaredy Squirrel does when he lands in the bush. Here he is. He plays dead for 2 hours. I wonder why. Boys and girls, this is number 3 for your Stop, Think, and Jot. Questions: what inference can you make from this story detail? Why would Scaredy play dead for 2 hours? Finally, Scaredy Squirrel realizes that nothing horrible is happening in the unknown today, so he returns to his nut tree. All this excitement has inspired Scaredy Squirrel to make drastic changes to his life. Drastic. If you make a drastic change, you do something very different from what you have always done. Drastic. Scaredy Squirrel's new and improved daily routine. 6:45 a.m. Wake up. 7 a.m. Eat a nut. 7:15 a.m. Look at view. 9:37 a.m. Jump into the unknown. 9:45 a.m. Play dead. 11:45 a.m. Return home. 12 noon. Eat a nut. 12:30 p.m. Look at view. 5 p.m. Eat a nut. 5:31 p.m. Look at view. 8 p.m. Go to sleep. We have to stop here too. We've found another aha moment. Characters often make important discoveries about themselves. When you come across moments like this, you can ask why the discovery is important and how it might change the character in an important way. Let's reread the sentence that tells what Scaredy Squirrel's realization is. Here it is. Finally, Scaredy Squirrel realizes that nothing horrible is happening in the unknown today, so he returns to his nut tree. All this excitement has inspired Scaredy Squirrel to make drastic changes to his life. Question number 4 for your Stop, Think, and Jot. How might this moment change Scaredy Squirrel? Here's your sentence stem. Scaredy Squirrel has discovered that from now on he might. P.S. As for the emergency kit, Scaredy Squirrel is in no hurry to pick it up just yet. Kit, poison ivy, the end. Here's Scaredy Squirrel. Boys and girls, that concludes the end of our story today. You've got 2 more questions. Number 5, it's related to theme. Theme, reread pages 94 to 97 to analyze the life lesson or theme that Scaredy Squirrel learns. How does Scaredy Squirrel change after he discovers he is a flying squirrel? How does this make Scaredy Squirrel change his daily routine? What lesson does this teach Scaredy Squirrel? And the last question, number 6. Is Scaredy still a good name for the squirrel? Why?